Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Litchfield Recreation Commission meeting on Tuesday, September 12th. We'll call the meeting to order. My name is Peter Ames. I am the chair of the commission. Chris Burns, member?
Here.
Steve Weber, Selectmen's Rep?
Present.
Andy Ruggles, vice chair?
Here.
Mike Bosky, member?
Here.
And Judy Brennan, secretary.
Here.
Absent with notice tonight is Jeff Town. First order of business is approval of the minutes from the 22nd, which were circulated. Have members had a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
Excellent. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions or adjustments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained?
Aye.
Passes
303.
303.
I do have a question. I read through them.
Yep.
It mentioned something about emergency use of fields and facilities. A few months back, we had passed something that as long as they gave us a call, the schools, somebody gave us a call, they needed the field, that we could approve it that way. Did anything change? Because there was a discussion about, it looked like about the same thing in the minutes, and I just want to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody else.
So I don't think we brought up that point, but the previous piece that you're speaking to was for folks that had previously reserved the fields, right? And we had voted to approve, and they were looking to make an adjustment or additional time.
Or like field that Campbell was flooded, so they needed ours like that afternoon or the next day.
Yeah,
for
it was a little
the-
different.
Yes, this one
Okay,
was
so it was
different, trying to be
different.
in
Okay.
line with protocol, so that
Okay.
what the advice we're given is that we should not have it as an email discussion and vote, and so we authorize the chair to approve those
Okay.
in between meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chair and vice chair.
and vice chair.
Yeah.
In the absence of the chair.
In the absence of the chair.
He's-
Which he's never absent.
He's very vocal today.
He is.
Well, Chippy.
You got your caffeine before you came in? Or?
He got his nap in.
I finally slept last night.
Any further discussion? All right. So those are approved, and we will now move to public input. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment? No? Do you want to ask her questions?
Mackie,
Dak, anything?
anything you want to say?
No? All good?
Okay. Well, we can come back to it, but no, we will, at this time, close public input. Moving on to facility and field requests, we have essentially three. LMS Soccer is looking for field of play over in Sawmill on Monday, September 25th, from 3 to 5. Field looks open.
I'll make a motion to allow LMS Soccer to use Sawmill Park Monday, September 25th from 3 to 5.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Is that pending field flooding or?
Well, of course, but
Yep.
you mean, honestly, it was, we approved Tabernacle to use down there. So I just I actually preemptively let Pastor Small know that we were going to be discussing having LMS requested to use it for a one-off, so, and just gave him a heads up, so just wanted to let you know that's kind of been cleared with him already too, so.
Dealt with
Okay.
So the time overlapped? The
Yeah.
dates?
it. Is it different size fields?
Nope,
Or are they both
same
different?
field. They're practicing so they can
Oh, they can
practice
play.
wherever, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of letting them know because
Got it.
we did grant them access to using the fields.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to have one approved for that time already?
I already let him know and he was like, of course.
But, so I didn't see it on the calendar though. Do I need to update that? Did I miss a approval?
It
Or?
was approved when?
Yeah.
In August at some point?
Yeah.
I know we had
Not-
certain dates for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he had a tournament or something, one day
Yeah, so
tournament.
they have 3 home games and a tournament at the middle of October. Is usually when it is, a couple days, 2 or 3 days, I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
But they had 3 home games. Today was supposed to be one of them, which is why I had pushed it back, and I just talked to him about the 25th too, letting him know up front, so.
Thank you. All right, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, motion carries 600.
All right, I will let them know.
Thank you, Judy. Next, moving on to pickleball. First, looking to do an event for a cookout and a rain date. Scheduled on the primary date is the 23rd, the rain date of the 24th.
We had already approved this in the spring, but because of bad weather, they canceled and decided to hold off to the fall. I don't think anything has changed from their original request. It looked the same.
Other than the date.
Right.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve pickleball to use for their member cookout Saturday, September 3rd, with the rain date of September 24th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Now, are they reserving all the courts?
I would think
Because they
so.
normally have 1
Um,
through 4, so they wouldn't even really
I
have to
think it was
reserve it, right?
just-
It's
I
more of
think-
the grass area having the cookout.
It was more of a formality.
Yeah, I think it was just,
I didn't know
So
if they were
that we're
looking for the
aware.
other 2 courts too, if they were trying to do all 6 courts.
Right.
Because it's a member cookout, they're gonna have more people down there.
I think for one day. I
They
don't
did
think
not
it'll be-
say.
It'll be a problem anyway.
They did not say, but they're usually pretty flexible.
Yeah. I was just curious more than anything.
Everybody's very friendly down there
Hmm.
when you go to play. They're like, "Hey, you want to jump in?" I'm like, "Sure."
yeah. I think the courts aren't listed on our form because only LPA can reserve courts.
Yeah.
So,
Right, but we don't even have the 2 non-LPA courts as reservable.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not reservable.
not reservable,
Based on the-
right.
Rules.
So,
I will second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
We already had it.
Yes.
But yeah, my only thing was that, I mean, there needs to be there needs to be a pathway to get through, in and out of there with cars still. Because there will be a soccer game down there on Saturday, so,
Pathway,
like, through the parking lot. Like, I mean, because again, if you have enough people, like, where is the overflow going to go? It's not gonna go in that side parking lot because there's really not enough there. They're not gonna go on the court, so it's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of making sure there's a lane that traffic can get through.
And for fire apparatus to get through,
Right.
if anything happens.
Are you concerned about vehicles or people?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
I can make sure I'll let them know.
yeah.
It's almost the access road coming in, there should be no parking on either side of that. And then once you get into the main parking lot, a path.
Well,
will
there
go
there
down.
isn't, but then once you get through that main, it opens up, but
Yeah.
it opens up like, this.
Yeah.
So it's not as wide as you think it would be right away.
No, and people park
Yeah.
everywhere down there.
And, I mean, we were lining the parking lot, soccer was, but
Remember that.
now it's all gone, so it's gonna have to take a mass redo to do it all, so we haven't really found the time yet. We'll probably do it before the Halloween tournament at a minimum, but, I don't know if it's gonna happen before then.
You want to get some like cones down there or something? To at least keep a central.
I don't think it's a big deal, just,
Yeah, just
it's
make
just,
sure.
let people know, that's all it is, I just wanted to bring it up, because
I will let.
there will be traffic and you don't want something happening.
Mm-hmm.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, abstain, motion carries 600. Next, further request from LPA for Town Hall for winter use. So this is a big stretch of time starting on October 1st through April 30th, Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays through Saturdays, sorry.
yeah, they did 7 days, 7 to 4. I think they're aware once basketball starts, they
Basketball,
won't be able to do
baseball,
that.
Softball, the weekends are pretty much,
Right.
Saturdays and Sundays are
Right, they have
taken.
a couple hours here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, do I have a motion?
But they want to start October 1st.
And normally, baseball, softball won't go in there until the first weekend of January. Basketball, December,
No, basketball is gonna be,
Soon, I feel like.
sooner.
they start, tryouts are usually October, so it could be November. for
November?
them.
November.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
let me get a motion.
I'll make a motion to allow pickleball to use Talent Hall indoors Saturdays and Sundays, October 1st 2023 through April 30th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. For discussion, so we know we have a number of conflicts. Folks can
Yeah.
just kind of go back through again, list them out and capture them so we can,
What we
Basketball,
know of.
yeah.
Yeah.
be basketball, which will be Saturdays,
Usually it's 7 to 2, I think.
7 to 2, 7 to 3, and they took it pickleball would come in after it last year.
Right.
Then almost the whole day on Sunday is baseball, softball,
Yes.
But-
So from
at least
8 a.m. till 3
3,
or 4.
4-ish,
Yeah.
so most of the
So
day.
in October, can they use it the weekend times?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
baseball, softball won't start until first weekend of January, roughly, even
And
later
basketball.
sometimes.
So can we word it some way that we approve it?
Contingent on,
Flexibility with
Yeah.
upcoming conflicts.
Conflicts.
Right,
Yeah.
with upcoming sport.
it worked out perfectly
Yeah.
last
I
year.
think they
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
well, I think when we let them know, we need to just explain that to them.
So it sounds like we want the priority to be for basketball, baseball, softball.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, historically, it's been that way.
Yeah. I mean, historically, honestly, usually they don't request Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Correct.
Right.
No, they started last year doing that, asking if they could get some weekend time because
Yeah.
they had so many
Well,
people.
they always use Saturday afternoons they were always in there Saturday afternoons. But again, we're also, they're bigger now too. So
Yeah,
I'm sure that ideally, I'm sure that they'd want to use more time on the weekends, but, again, we need to think of the youth.
yeah. And then last year, 2 soccer teams jumped in on Sundays also
Right,
in there.
I'm pretty sure there are gonna be a few soccer teams that are gonna wanna use it this year too.
They asked, yeah, because I think one
So-
came in there at like 3 last year and another came in at 4
Right,
on Sundays.
All right, so we're in agreement that we want the youth leagues to be prioritized. We know we may get additional requests.
Yeah, not for nothing. I mean, they have the majority of the time booked at town
Yeah.
hall at this point.
Yeah.
They get a lot of usage, so it's other people's turn.
Yep.
I think
I don't
because
think
they
they'll
have
have
if you're retired, you can play 7 to 4. If you're not, and they have a lot more people who are not retired, who are still working.
And that's why they
So I
wanted
think
to
they were
add.
looking for some of that extra time. I also believe that the LPA is only going to allow Litchfield residents to be
They've-
able to reserve talent.
They've opened it up to non-Litchfield
Yes,
residents now
but
for the memberships.
right, but we've always had some but I believe when you read through their bylaws or their rules, that talent will be open only to Litchfield residents for indoor pickleball.
Okay.
Even if you're part of LPA, so there's a different fee schedule. For if you,
Did that change or something? Because that wasn't how it was in the past.
right, so they were able to open it up once they hit a certain percentage of Litchfield people, which they did.
No, I meant using
Oh,
town hall.
Yeah, so that's what I understood when I looked at it, that if you wanted to reserve, if you were resident or non-resident, you could reserve, and part of LPA, you could reserve the courts outside, but non-resident pays more money. And then if you also wanted to do indoor at talent, I think they charged more in the yearly fee instead of $1 every time you play. But I believe that indoor's only gonna be limited to Litchfield residents. It's always busy over there.
It sure is.
Is.
Getting busier.
It's a good thing.
It is.
It's good that it gets used.
Further discussion or questions?
Should we make it contingent that they build us a new talent hall
Yes. we should.
with all the
Friendly
revenue?
amendment?
With
All those $1 they get?
All right. Folks ready for the vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Motion carries 6-0-0.
Chris, since you're gonna talk to them about, the cookout and parking, do you wanna just take care of that piece too?
Yep.
All right, we have no additional facility or field requests. Moving on to new business.
Oh, we did get a late one that I
Oh,
didn't
the,
put on there.
Sorry.
However, I asked that
Recklessly.
if they would be able to come because we'd end up with a lot of questions. But it was a local band that wanted to do a Christmas concert. I think I printed it out for you.
Yes, there it is, right.
Yeah.
It was a single Christmas concert for charity.
I think it's maybe the week before the Christmas event.
It is.
I was hoping they were able to have somebody here so we could ask more questions, explain the insurance to them. It was supposed to be it was gonna be a charity event.
If it's Toys for Tots.
And if insurance is gonna be an issue, maybe they could play live Christmas music at Christmas in Litchfield and,
Or we could tie it into the whole Christmas at Litchfield event, and just
Yeah.
stretch it one more weekend, have the band as a part
oh,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah.
That way they could do it under rec.
So, yeah, I was hoping that, I asked for a member of the band if they could come. Because we don't really know anything about them. We can't approve anything without the insurance,
Insurance and
without
understanding it.
knowing more, so,
Well, we could approve it contingent, right? Like we have before
okay.
for other things, so.
Yep.
Do folks want to take this up for consideration now?
Or do you want to reach out and see if they can come to the next meeting?
I mean, I feel like it would be important for him to be here.
Like, if it's a charity event, that means they're gonna be charging,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
what are the fees, is there alcohol, is there
Right.
Yep.
security,
And we also don't have a name associated with them, just the band name, yeah.
There was a person on the request.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay.
Ian, Yep.
Oh, okay.
I think it'd be a good idea they come and
Come in.
present it.
All right, I'll reach out to them and see if they can come in and talk about it
First timer.
at the next meeting, the
Yeah.
26th.
And I think it'd also be a great time for us to put in like you did for the food pantry that time.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. We did end 68 Hours of Hunger, Food Pantry, and Coat Drive.
All at the
Ended
same
up-
time.
Yeah. All with that, and it ended up. We got a good turnout of stuff.
All right. we'll
So
hold
I'll
that.
reach out to them.
Okay, thank you, Judy. All right, moving on to new business. We have an invoice from Natticook Landscaping for additional charges for the fences that were up on the Memorial Fields, which required additional labor. And so they invoiced us for that, gave us a very significant discount on that staff time, but we do need to approve it for the overage.
What line do we want to take it out of if approved?
One
Minutes.
thing they said when they invoiced us is that they wanted us to see the full costs, right?
Yep.
So because we're a bottom line budget, I'm fine to keep it in the same
Keep, just
line.
overspend the line, yeah. Probably the best way to do it.
But we have to pay them.
So I mean, I guess just, do you guys, what happened? It just ended up having to stay up longer than,
It stayed up extra 10 days, 15 days. That's it. By the time that the tournament was over with, we had to get people down there to do it. People went on vacation and so forth and just was up there. So it was up from July 1st to August 24th, I believe, is what it was up for. There were tournaments for the whole entire month of August, and there was a tournament the first weekend of August.
okay. I just, from my understanding, it was like supposed to be 4 weeks or something, and it ended up being 8 or in.
Well, there was never a time frame. I talked to Natticook and said it was going to be up there, and he said, we'll work around it.
Okay.
That was the whole discussion around it. It was, it's probably going to be down the first weekend, somewhere around there of August, because we have a tournament to do, then we have a blast tournament, then it will come down.
Okay.
So, and when Natticook started mowing around it, I think it was an extra half hour per mow, I think is what he said. And 2 mows a week was an hour or something like that. Or was an hour, and 2 was 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. going by the math on yours.
I assume they had a trim around it too, right?
No,
we
we
did the
actually,
trimming.
we did it. We picked it up and was able to get a push mower, and we went underneath the whole entire thing. So it slowed him down, because instead of doing big diagonal paths,
Oh, right, yeah.
he had to just go around all the fences and so forth.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
I'll abstain. So I'm involved in it.
Thank you. All right, next on new business, we turn to Steve regarding a warrant article, which we had discussed previously about having spendable trust fund that could accumulate funds for maintenance purposes over time.
Yep, the process is pretty easy. We just have to come up with what dollar value we want for it, and bring it in front of the Board of Selectmen, let them understand why we want an expendable trust fund, which I think is a great idea, because right now, if, some of the biggest things that could happen to us is a well pump goes. I mean, we have no money in our budget to take care of a well pump. The roof on Talent goes, we can't get a hold of that. So I think it's a great idea that if we do have an expendable trust fund, that we can pull from just for maintenance and for repairs. That way it gets it out of the budget and, gives us an avenue of paying for these repairs that.
So that's kind of why we went to, the meeting ahead of time. I forget what it's called. When you go to deliberative.
Deliberative,
Yes,
yeah.
we went to deliberative to get that extra 8,000 put in, because we were afraid that if something breaks, we were dead in the water.
Exactly. So this would give us a buffer that if that ever happened,
Yeah.
we'd have a fund to withdraw from. So let's just hypothetically say it was $15,000, we used $3,000. Next year in the warrant article, we'd ask for $3,000 to replenish it, to always go back. And if we don't use it for 3 years, it just sits there and it gains interest.
I think we absolutely should do that.
I think we need to do it. The biggest question we have is what dollar value do we want to go with? Now, the other things I've seen happen when you go forth with this, you'll have a lot of discussion at budget committee. Well, you've got repair in your budget and now you're asking for it. Well, if this passes, you don't need this money.
Well, that's not true, because it's,
But
yeah.
the problem is, right, if this fails, if you zero out this line item, now we don't have the money.
Correct.
Right, and we can't
So there's a
maintain
lot of
anything.
debate that goes back and forth, especially when they're trying to get under the tax cap. So that's,
So does that warrant count against the tax cap?
not the first year, it will not.
But the next year it will?
Then next year it will, because it's voted into at that point, and then it's in the budget after that. So that's the interesting part about warrant articles, is they're not part of the tax cap calculation until they're approved, and then the next year, they're added into the tax cap calculation.
But even if that $25,000 in, like, say, a separate account, like that was just
That's,
set aside.
I'm not sure about that, but say you did, like, the fire station bond, right?
Right.
That gets added to the tax cap the next year. So you're always trying to chase yourself.
But seems like a little bit of a different.
This
it's
one
not a
might be
bond,
different. I
it's
can
just
look into that.
Sitting there,
Sitting
yeah.
there. So there's a tax impact, but I don't know if there'll be a
Right.
tax cap impact.
Because it'd be nice if it wasn't a tax cap
Correct.
hit, because then we have that money sitting in the account. It's not a tax burden on anybody. It's not going to affect the.
Well, it is the first
Well,
year,
the
'cause you're
first
gonna
year would be
raise
a
and
burden,
appropriate that money,
Right.
so it is.
Right.
Yeah. But then, at least we get to respond if there's any, failures or anything.
Yeah,
And historically, the budget committee likes this approach better than having it in the budget.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, that's how we've moved stuff out of the budget and over into, into a fund. So we just gotta come up with the value, go in front of the Board of Selectmen, ask them to please bring the warrant article forth. If for some reason the selectmen don't wanna bring it forward, you can do a petition warrant article. 25 signatures, bring it forth and have it on the ballot.
Well, can I just make a motion on it then? Right now, or?
I mean, I think what we need to do first is figure out what value we want it to be, right? And then we have to decide, do we want to do it, then bring it in front of the Board of Selectmen?
Okay.
I mean, do we want 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 25?
I would think 20, personally.
Yeah, I was trying to think today is like, say if a well pump goes and everything, what's the cost of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Or 2 in a season.
Or two goes,
you know?
or the roof, something happens to the roof at Talent. I mean, that roof at Talent might not be cheap.
Or like the heating system when that
Heating
went
system,
down.
when that went at Talent, that was 15
20
grand, 20 grand?
15,
It was
20,
up there.
If a town goes, just throwing a top over and be.
So that's the value. We just gotta figure out that value, and then we can just bring it forth. On all those, the verbiage is pretty darn close that we have.
Yeah.
And just go in front of the selectmen and ask.
I'll say that I went before CIP and Board of Selectmen in the last meeting and really kind of spoke to the fact that we don't have a maintenance budget. And our biggest vulnerability is that if something big goes, we don't have funds to fix
Right.
it in our
Yeah.
budget. We have enough to buy shovels and little things
Yeah.
to patch, but
And I'm really concerned about talent, especially in the wintertime with the heavy use it gets. If
Gonna
that
get a
goes
lot.
down, I mean, there's a lot of programs that get impacted for it.
right, because I said that's the ultimate piece, right? Is that we might have to close facilities.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did bring up a fee schedule as the other option, right? But that would take a lot of fees for us to be able to.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So it really is, we'd have to close things, right?
Yeah, my only thing is when we ask for the money, we gotta realize that we're asking for money. As always.
Correct.
Because you're going to the populace asking them to vote in the warrant article for how much money, we don't know. If it's 20, if it's 10, if it's 15, like that amount is actually gonna matter to people. Like,
Yep.
it'll be like a cent on the thing, but it'll be some sort of an impact.
And it'll also come to what demographics show up to vote. If the younger families with the children in recreational sports, that's a different outcome than if you get people who aren't in recreational sports.
I just, market it to pickleball.
But I do think if we put something out there and say $20,000, this is to prevent closure of facilities, right?
Yep.
We're not trying to build something
Right.
new. This is to keep things open if something significant breaks.
And we will be able to speak to it at deliberative.
Right, yeah, true. Because if they vote against it, which, right, everyone has to make decisions, like, and that situation comes up, we can say, like, this is,
Right.
And when the voter guide goes out, we can put verbiage in there, exactly what it's for, so we're gonna reach even more people, because deliberative's not attended by a whole lot.
and it's not something that we come back for every year, right? Because it's
Yeah.
a revolving fund, so it's only if we draw
Yep.
something
You top it
down.
off usually. Historically, people come back just to top it off, and there's years it sits and sits and sits, and you never need it.
Yeah, hopefully so.
It's like an
right?
insurance policy.
That's it, yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right, and what's the timeline that we would want to get to?
I
the
think all
select
warrant
board?
articles have to be in by the end of December,
Oh, okay.
so we have time.
So we want to discuss at another meeting and get the wording down.
We'll do it the second
All of
meeting
that.
in December. That's when we should
Good
pull it
I
together.
like it.
The 26th, yeah.
So we have time for it to get it the way we want it. What do we think the right price is? I mean, we even can do our due diligence, go out there and say, how much does it replace a well pump? What other things could happen? What are the costs? So at least we have data backing it up when people ask, why are you asking for this dollar value?
And we also put the language as to what it can be used for in that.
Correct, that's part of the
That's
wording
part
of it.
of
So
the
usually legal will get it.
Yeah.
And they'll build framework around it, so there'll only be certain things you can use
Yeah,
it for.
so we can't use it to buy,
No, it's usually when it's maintenance and repair, it comes down to maintenance and repair.
Right.
Okay.
So
Thank
maybe
you.
we can, bring this back in a month or so. Maybe we can spend some time thinking
October.
about things.
Yeah, I can get with legal and find out, what the verbiage has been for we have a buildings repair trust fund. Kind of probably use the same thing, but it'd be for recreational facilities.
I like it.
All right, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
All right, next item is that there is a regional meeting of recreation commissions
Here, did you guys see that email that came out from,
a couple weeks ago, right?
yeah, and Diane Merrimack, I think he heads it. So every year they have regional meeting. It's gonna be sometime next week, but we don't have the date yet. They're gonna decide on the 13th or 14th.
You realize that's this week, right?
That's this week.
No, they're deciding on the 13th or 14th what the
Oh, okay.
date will be for next week. They actually put out a questionnaire. They're all weekdays during the day.
Yeah, because they're like a paid position.
Yeah. So, does anybody
Like
have
us.
interest?
It's a government paid position. We only
I
work
did
9
answer
to
the
5.
survey. I put in the weekdays and times I could make it. But if it's not one of those one of those times when I'm working, then I won't be able to, but
I mean, once we find out the date or time, I
Yeah.
may or
Depends
may
on when
not.
it is, I
Yeah.
might be available.
There was,
It depends on when it is, I might be
right,
available.
it's the same thing with me.
Yeah.
So, you can go and fill in on that survey, and I think they're going with the majority of what people say, so I filled it out for when I would be available October 10.
Thank you. And there was not a virtual option, right? This looks like it's an in-person meeting.
Yeah, and I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were the choices. I don't think Friday was an option. I can't remember.
I don't
So-
do anything on Fridays anyway, so.
Perfect.
Sure your employer loves to hear that,
No, they're just trying to figure out what he does the rest of the week.
because they already know about Fridays.
All right, so folks, go ahead and fill that in if you're potentially available. Thank you, Judy. All right, moving on to old business, pickleball courts. Update on egress and pavilion.
So I've got nothing new right now. I know you guys had discussed it at the last meeting when I couldn't make it. I've gotten some estimates from 3 different companies on a cost to build the pavilion. And, right now, by my math, we've got approximately $17,359.65 left in that fund.
Approximately.
Approximately. But all 3 of those quotes came in significantly higher than that. I went back to, one of the quotes was extremely higher. I went back to the 2 companies that were significantly higher and asked them to see what they could do to come down a little bit and try and get within our budget. And I got one quote back, which is still higher than our budget. Haven't heard back from the other guy yet.
Were any of them local?
One of them is the guy, the guy that's responded twice now is the same guy that built the pavilion at the soccer field previously.
Where?
The soccer.
The one
Oh, the
down at-
soccer
yeah,
field,
the one on
okay.
Soccer, at that same complex, so,
Okay.
I just got his quote today and it was around 20, so.
Is it still, you asked for 20 by 30, right?
Well, he reduced the size, the footprint down to 16 by 20,
Yeah.
and it's still 20 grand, so. Yeah, so I don't know really where to go from there, but.
14 by 20.
16 by
And by
16.
We'll give everybody a tent.
I think you have a ratio now. You could just figure out, you know.
Right, so.
Always ask pickleball.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. With that, what was the other thing?
Yeah, pickleball may be willing to
Do the offer.
throw some in if we're short, 3,000 or 4,000.
I can look into it.
Thank you for investigating that. And update on the pathway.
So, it's been, the funds have been approved for the, expenditures for the material. Steve had mentioned that the road agent might be willing to install it, but I haven't been able to connect with him to look at that. I'm still about a month out from doing any heavy work like that, so, either he or I will jump on it when the time comes, I'm sure.
Jason said he would help, because I know you're limited in what you can do if it's
I know
something
I
we
started a
could do
text
ourselves.
exchange with the road
Yes.
agent and you
And
guys.
I reached out to him, but I haven't heard back from him.
All right, let me jump back in on that
Okay.
and see what we can do. I think it'd be great if Highway could do it.
Sure.
Well, then it would be done correctly.
If done, I
That,
can.
was my
Yeah,
biggest
if
thing.
we want it to be a
We need to
legal
meet with them
egress.
about the line painting as well.
Okay. Let me jump in, I'll get that whole text exchange going again.
Thank you, Steve. All right. And next on old business, update on the chessboard placement. So I heard back from Mac and Samantha about potential location for the chessboard at Roy, and where we last left off, we asked them to go pick out a spot and bring it back to us. So they have, and Mac is looking to place it kind of as you're kind of going up the road, and you have the toddler swings. It's a toddler and the accessible swing, right?
Yep.
So it would be kind of to the front of that, about maybe 12 feet in front of that, and next to the trees that abut the fields. So kind of as you're walking up to the playground, that'd be one of the first things that you would come upon. So kind of in that corner there. Are folks comfortable with that as a location? It's kind of, I think it's in the shade, but it's kind of visible, right? That's something we asked for it to be, for sure. It's not in the way of any path or in the middle of the playground or thing, so I thought that was
Sounds good to me.
a good place.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will reply back and give Mac the green light. Thank you. Next, patching up the tennis courts. Jeff's not here, but certainly he's been advocating that we patch up the courts as best we can before the winter season comes, and it makes them worse with water getting in, freezing, and doing all that stuff. So we're going to have a reimbursement request here in just a second, but I know he's also looking for potential help to
No.
clean it up
He
and
sent
patch.
something right before the meeting
Oh, did he?
too.
Okay.
Yeah,
With-
I replied to him as well.
Yeah.
I've got all that equipment and can certainly help,
Okay.
Yeah.
depending on when it is.
Yeah, I can help depending
Yeah.
on when it is too.
Okay. Great. All right, yeah. So
What's he gonna pour in, seal filler?
He bought some stuff, I don't, it's,
He listed,
pretty much.
he listed it all, yeah,
$368.25 with a crack filler.
approximately.
In different colors.
Are you on something, Andy? He's cracking himself up tonight.
Lots of caffeine apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to eat dinner tonight before I came. I usually don't get to.
yeah, we like you hangry. Moves the meeting right along.
You know, you usually delay. Today it's like a half an hour. Get me out of here.
Not there yet.
That's a good point.
All right, so we'll coordinate with Jeff on a time. Sounds like none of us will be able to help out for that. And is there any other, well, yeah, old business cover, I guess we'll move right into the reimbursement requests. And we'll just use that as a segue first to Jeff, so I'll jump to that as you're speaking to the materials that would be necessary for that patching. Jeff has a estimate of $368.25. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that request?
So moved.
second,
Second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. The reimbursement request passes 6-0-0. All right, next we have a reimbursement owed to Judy of $50.39 for a turf rug. That is part of the entryway to the pickleball courts at the moment. Is there,
Yeah, you guys approved $100.
Yes.
It was 50.
Oh, so it's
Oh,
already
it's
been
already
approved?
approved.
Reimbursement, I bought it.
Oh,
You have to approve.
I'll make a motion to
reimbursing
approve Judy Brennan for $50.39 for the turf rug at the entrance of the pickleball court.
Second.
motion is second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
me. I should abstain, right?
Probably.
Yeah. 5-0-1. All right, next, an update on the ropes course, because we've got a potential walkthrough date, so.
Yeah, so, Coach K clarified that he is pretty much, he's contracted by, the ropes course company, Pro Image, Dare to Dream, to do the repair work on the ropes course. So he had asked to, meet with us and do a walkthrough. And he picked this Thursday. Steve can also go. Both of us can go. I reached out to the high school to Doug Taunton isn't able to make it. We've been working with him on the whole ropes course thing. He just asked to be kept in the loop. And I reached out to the AD, Joshua, but it's during the school day, so he's probably most likely not going to be able to attend. So Steve and I can just relay the information to them because we've been trying to work closely with them as to whatever happens. And then Pro Image will be here in November to do the training for the new teacher, and then they did ask to meet with rec reps. That's in sometime on November 8th. So I blocked it off on my schedule. They're gonna let us know the time.
Okay. I have Thursday on my calendar now. So we'll be good.
So we'll hit the walkthrough and get back to you. One other thing, though, I think that it makes me think, with the ropes course, someone's using it, they gotta fill out the facility request form, but I also think they should do one for the high school too, because the actual equipment belongs to the high school. So I think that's a discussion we probably need to have with the high school, that there shouldn't just be us.
Yep.
The high school should know when someone's using their
Yep.
their equipment.
So the equipment on the course is the high schools, they were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
We own the property, they own
The course.
the course.
Right.
So, I think that's something we should just work out with them so that they're aware when someone's using their property too, because they haven't been aware.
Right, right.
So,
I didn't even know it was their property, or their equipment, probably.
the high school did, but they have not given permission for people to be on there using it.
Oh.
So, it has been used, so. I guess we can talk to them, they can just add that to their request form already that they have.
Chat with Doug about it.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit further the relationship between Coach K and the organization that contracts with him? So he does the safety inspection, or tell me.
Yeah, so
At school.
he is certified to build the ropes course, to repair a ropes course
Yep.
to code. And when he had reached out to us, I did ask what his affiliation was, because the school was like, we don't have anything, we don't even know who he is,
Yeah.
or the newer people there who are working with the ropes course. But I did notice he was listed on, the, inspection certificate, down on the bottom as someone
Okay.
that they contracted out to do it, and he's only here the month of September, I guess, and then he goes back to Florida.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
So he's not a representative of the school. And either is Ryan Chassie.
Okay. Well, thank you both for being there for the walkthrough on Thursday. It sounds like November 8th will be when we can check in with the school further about it. That's the,
Yep, that's when, yeah, I guess it's like the final culmination of having the teacher certified and
okay.
having it ready to go, so.
Just in time for the good weather.
I know. The school said they weren't planning on using it till spring.
Guess they do
Anyway,
an
so-
indoor climbing first, and then they go outside to the ropes course
Yeah.
on the program.
Because I had mentioned to Coach K, because he wanted to meet right away, and I'm like, we really have until the spring, and I was gonna be away for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
he's like, nope, I'm only here till September 29th, so that's what it is, and I guess somebody else would take over. He won't be there at the November meeting, so.
So who's gonna take over the required repairs? Back to the school? They're gonna have to go and fix it? Because in the report,
Yeah.
weren't there some repairs that had to be done?
Right, so every year it has to be inspected, and they get a report.
So, but those
So-
repairs are on the school.
I would think the repairs would be on the people that have been using it, which hasn't been the school, and
I know. but
3 or 4
it's the
years.
school's property, that's the whole
The
thing.
school has not used it, what did they tell us, November of 2021,
21, yeah.
and there have
been
been
used
people
since.
on there.
And we did have some trees that came down that damaged some of it.
Yeah.
But so there still are repairs, and we have signage out
And I
there
guess,
saying that.
well, Coach K's original email also said there's other trees that are dead or near dead and need to be addressed, and I did mention that an email went out, regarding the whole well, and that we had some trees removed that already that had fallen and were dead, and had we known, we would have taken care of them at the same time.
Then we had the highway department go
Yeah,
in later and
go in.
clean up even more trees for
Yeah.
us. So I guess my
So-
big question is, who do the trees fall on and who do the repairs fall on?
Right.
Moving forward.
I think we've got to keep that consistent communication that we started with the school,
Yep.
and know whose responsibility is what, and,
But I think we should get that on the school's radar as soon as possible.
Yep.
And not, come next year when they go to try to use it.
right. So,
Well, I appreciate,
hopefully it's all moving forward and coming together. There's still, we got a lot of questions answered, but then there's others that are not.
we've made good progress though, so I appreciate all of the discovery you've done for this. I feel like we've got the contacts now and we can get the same page with the school so that when spring comes along, because there might be some damage over the winter, right? It'd be good for us
Be
to
more, yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
who's responsible for that, and then move forward with their program in the spring. So, thank you, Judy, for helping us map out the next steps of this. All right. Are there other business members would like to bring forward? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much and good night.